You're listening to Journals of the Whilling from the Tumbling Saber team, a part of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on Facebook, iTunes, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey guys, welcome back to Journals of the Whilling. It's a bonus Journals of the Whilling. It should have been Sith Disturbers this week, but life sometimes gets in the way. But no problem. We're going to do a pinch hit episode, and Steve's back. Steve, say hi.
Hi guys, I am back.
And how you been?
I've been busy, but good. You know, work's got me running. But, you know, work on the house has settled down. You know, things have calmed down around here. So, I'm happy about that. How have you been?
Oh, absolutely breakneck pace everywhere. Work is crazy. Home is crazy. It's all crazy, man.
What's the guy to do?
Well, you know, it's funny because, was it 2 months ago or so, we decided, you know, we're going to take a little bit of a break from Star Wars novels. There's always, you know, it takes so much focused energy and attention to get through them, and then to bring that analysis to the podcast. So we said, you know what, we'll just cool our heels for a bit on the novels, take the summer off. Not that there was anything new there anyway. And we'll focus more on news and comics and whatever else catches our attention. But I wouldn't have had time anyway. It's been so crazy.
Just worked out then.
It did, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't see the craziness settling down anytime soon. And we have an absolute deluge of novels dropping in, the next 3... Anyways, 1 month, Phasma's out.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the Phasma comic right after that.
Yeah, the Phasma comic, and then I think there's a very important one-shot coming with Cassian Andor and K2SO, how they met.
Right.
We're definitely gonna have to talk about that here. And boy, the Princess Leia novel's coming, the Luke Skywalker novel coming, which we'll get back to in a second. We mentioned Phasma. Jeez, there's just too much, man.
Well, that's what happens when a Star Wars episode is like just around the corner.
It really is.
We're getting so close.
It's coming really fast. I mean, it seems like yesterday where I mentioned on the main show that, man, it's like still 365 days away or 300 days away. And now we're looking at 132 days. Something to that effect.
I think that's the plus side of things getting so crazy, is just you have no concept of time. You blink and then it's like, all right, where'd that go? But it's awesome.
It is awesome that, you know, it pulls the movies that much closer, that much faster. But man, I'm in no rush to get older.
You can't think of it like that. You can't.
I shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
All right, well let's dive into some Star Wars news here. The Legends of Luke Skywalker book. I guess it's not news at this point, but I wanted to get your take on what they're doing with this book. It's a very, very interesting approach that they're taking. So I'll just read straight from the horse's mouth. This is the publisher's summary. So, as a cargo ship rockets across the galaxy to Canto Bight, the deckhands on board trade stories about legendary Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. But are the stories of iconic and mysterious Luke Skywalker true, or merely tall tales passed from one corner of the galaxy to another? Is Skywalker really a famous Jedi hero, an elaborate charlatan, or even part droid? The deckhands will have to decide for themselves when they hear the legends of Luke Skywalker. So, Steve, I don't have your opinion yet. I need it. Do you like this approach to Luke's history? Like painting it as a murky thing, are his exploits true or false? Are they myths? What do you think?
I think it's one really, because when does this come out? Really soon, right? in like right before Episode 8.
It's on the journey to the Last Jedi.
Right. I think it's really cool timing because if you think about where they're taking Luke Skywalker as a character, he's legendary. People have heard of him. They don't know much about him other than what they've heard. And, I'm thinking back to that, when Rey first hears about Luke, she's just like in disbelief.
Yeah, I thought he was a myth.
Right. So I think it's really interesting to find out what other people know or think about him. Just because based on like what we read and what we've seen, we really get it from main character's point of view. So it's interesting to see how the galaxy views them. We know them as the heroes. We know them, as we're shown. So I think it's really interesting world building, and it's really cool to see what they've done to affect the universe beyond what we've seen.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm too much of a stickler for what's canon and what's not. Like this is kind of sticking in my craw a little bit, and the reason for that is I don't want to have to be in a conversation with somebody at some point about we're talking about Luke and what's happened in his life, and then you get these 4 stories that may or may not play a factor in what's made Luke to this point.
Right. I mean, down the line, I imagine it'll probably be easy to kind of mesh the details, but I think with where they're coming from, you got to take it with a grain of salt. So I don't know. I think if we take it for what it is, it's an interesting piece. A look at not really just his character, but just how people view him, and I like that. How is it? It's 4 short stories, right?
6, I believe.
6 short stories, and so it's not it's not like a long novel from what I'm taking, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think it's a young adult novel, and it's 429 pages.
So it's not too bad. I think it it won't be too so my only fear, it's kind of like what you're saying, is it might be difficult to kind of like down the line after we've read this and many other books and many more movies, to kind of fudge the details and misremember. But I don't know. I think if they're short, digestible stories, as readers, as we're kind of digesting that information, I think we should be able to kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I like that they're following through on on Rey's reaction to hearing about Luke. I thought he was a myth. I like that they're going to try and like feed us that side. That they're going to make us try and question. We know Luke is a real deal, but his exploits, like, why do people think he's a myth? Like, are the stories just going to be super exaggerated? And maybe by the end of the book, we'll know just by reading. No, that didn't happen to Luke. Right. There might be clues in the book itself that avid fans will be able to understand what's real and what's not.
Right. I mean, I'm just imagining there's probably going to be a lot of funny setups where I think if they're going to misrepresent information, if they're going to retell A New Hope from like this different viewpoint, it might be funny. They might take a comical stance on it. Just some kind of like dramatic irony and like comedic irony.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because one of the stories, I believe, is told by one of these deckhands on the ship, but he's retelling a story that he's heard from this. I can't remember. Geez, I should probably find that synopsis again. But just imagine like a sentient flea-like creature. I'm going to dig it up because it's I can't just describe it this way. All right, so here's something from the Star Wars Wikipedia page. The frame story of the novel follows children on their way to the casino world of Canto Bight. The children tell each other a total of 6 stories about Skywalker debating whether or not he was a myth. The stories include a first-hand account, told second-hand, of a mole flea named Lugubrious Moat, who claimed to have been with Skywalker during the rescue of Han Solo. Now, I'd read something else about this little mole flea, that he was sort of described as, he's obviously a tiny little creature, but perched on Luke's shoulder in the Rancor pit, all the stuff that happened at Jabba's palace. That's where this little guy first latched onto Luke. That's kind of what I read. I'm not sure if it's 100% true. And maybe that's a myth in itself, but
right.
It is kind of a weird deal, isn't it?
It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. But I mean, not quite the point of view I thought we would get something from, but I like it. It's cute. It's a cute idea. I don't think this is something we, when you hear the title, I think it sounds serious and it sounds like, all right, we're going to get concrete stories. And, I think this is going to be just a lighter novel.
It might be. And I know they've started to market it as obviously as something that's, going to be sort of ambiguous. But I hope they push that angle a little bit more, because I think people are going to maybe fall into the same trap they did as with Aftermath, thinking that we're getting one thing, but you got something else, and you're going to blame Disney, Lucasfilm Press, or Del Rey, or whoever's doing this.
I think it comes to marketing for sure. I think the ideas, Aftermath, this novel, the ideas in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with them, but you have to market them for what they are. Otherwise, like you said, people are going to pick it up. They're going to feel duped. You know?
That's the perfect word.
So
and I'm just looking at the Amazon info for this book. It's a reading level of 8 and up.
Okay.
So you're saying that maybe it's going to be a lighter novel? If 8 and up is the target, then I would think we can just run with that. It's going to be definitely a lighter book.
Right. Now, how many people are going to buy it from Amazon not reading that it's 8 and up? So, definitely I think synopsis matters. I think people should, most people will just read the synopsis. Because when you look at something on Amazon, people rarely will hit like the more details, because I feel like the 8 and up, that's always like in a little table.
Oh yeah, I had to dig for that a little bit in the app here.
Right. All right, so that key information is usually hidden. It's not really pushed in marketing, and primarily I think that's on purpose, because they want to try to get as many people to buy it. So it's like tricky marketing, So.
Yeah, and well, the release date is Halloween Day, so kind of apropos.
Does Halloween fall on a... Well, when do books normally come out? Tuesdays?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Along with movies and music and all that other cool stuff. It's usually Tuesdays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Halloween falls on a Tuesday. Sorry, I'm a stickler for dates. I don't know why.
They are important. All right. So moving ahead quickly here before we get to Darth Vader 3. So the next arc in the Darth Vader series is going to feature Darth Vader, surprise, surprise, but he's partnering up with the Grand Inquisitor that we got to know really well in Rebels. And those two are taking on the task of hunting down Jocasta Nu, who, of course, we first met in Attack of the Clones. She was the Jedi librarian, the archivist. Now, this was reported by at German Jedi on Twitter, Florian, and I was floored when I read that. I thought she was dead during Order 66, but now the thought of her having escaped with what, and where did she go, and is she with anybody else? I'm really interested to see this. How about you?
I think it's such an awesome idea, and something that kind of occurred to me when you were talking about it was how far they pushed their propaganda. So I'm wondering if the thought behind hunting her, not just killing off the Jedi, but part of it is because she was a librarian, she held so much information about the Jedi. So part of it was like, is there motivation also to stifle the spread of more information, like that contradicts what they want?
Yes, that's a great point.
So I think I would hope they touch on that, even if it's a little line or something. I feel like that would make such an awesome motivation. But again, I just love this theme of where Vader is going, of just, this is what people wanted. I mean, just based on like Twitter conversations I've seen and reviews, and just people want to see him hunting down the Jedi, and they're really delivering. So I don't know who's reading the blogs and listening to the podcasts over there, but I feel like they're really giving the fans what they wanted.
Yeah, a lot of people were clamoring for yet another Darth Vader standalone movie. Not that episodes 1 through 6 weren't enough. Like, give us another one, but have him hunting down any last straggler Jedi. And people are just asking for this just because. I just want to see Vader hacking up more Jedi. Okay, fair enough. But now we're actually it looks like we're actually going to get it. So I guess with that we can head into a little bit of a deeper look into Darth Vader issue 3, which continues Vader's early days in the black suit, and he's been after his own Kyber saber crystal. Did I say that backwards? Is it that late that I'm speaking like Yoda?
Honestly, I'm probably just as tired because I didn't catch it. I just kind of knew what you meant, and I was going to go along with it. So
yeah, I think everybody kind of knows. Vader's after his own Kyber crystal, and I think it's sort of agreed at this point that it's more or less the Emperor manipulating Vader. Just go get your own saber. You could just easily take one of the millions that we have here, but you need to go kill a Jedi with your bare hands and take it from them. That's how you become a Sith. So here we go. Now Vader is off, and he's taking on Jedi. What's his name? Jedi Master Kirik. Karik. Infile.
Infile. Yeah.
I've been calling him Jedi Master Chick Infile.
Chicken fillet. Love it. Infila. That's the one thing that's tough about reading it. It's like when you see it in a movie, it's like they say it so you know how to say it. When you're just reading it, it's like until someone actually says it. Infila.
So we were teased with him at the end of issue 2. We were told that he had taken this Barash vow, which a Jedi can take as a form of penance and remove himself from all more Jedi matters. And so here we meet him for real in this Darth Vader number 3, and he's sparring with his droid who's named Arix. And while sparring, he's also assembling a bunch of Padawan traps, which I have no idea what those are. Do you have any idea what those are?
I mean, they kind of look like puzzles that you have to complete with the Force. So maybe it's like a concentration technique.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at it. And, yeah.
And then he said early on, he says something pretty interesting. He says that the easy path rarely leads to a worthwhile destination. And I thought that sounded like a very neat reference to the dark side, and a timely reference considering he's about to face Vader. And we know what Yoda says about the dark side being the quick and easy path. So I thought that was a very timely quote.
Very well spoken.
And then something else that I thought really stood out. His droid, Arix, says, you know what? You could do a lot better for yourself if you just pretended not to be a Jedi. And he goes on to say that he is a Jedi. It'd be impossible for him not to pretend, or for him not to be a Jedi. And he seemed very agitated with that. But for him, for him to say that, I could never not be a Jedi. What does that say about someone like Obi-Wan, who we now see in the Star Wars title, protecting Luke on Tatooine, essentially pretending not to be a Jedi? We see him, walking away from conflict and wanting to get involved, but saying, no, I can't reveal myself. Does this say anything about Obi-Wan?
I don't know if it says anything about Obi-Wan. I think they're two very distinct philosophies. I think it comes down to philosophy and motive. And I feel like being a Jedi for Infala, it's instinctual for him. Perhaps this kind of passion is what led to him needing penance. Because I don't think we don't really know what he did that he had to do this.
He mentions a transgression that he did.
But we don't know the details of it
Exactly.
yet. So this need to fight, this passion, perhaps that's his like character downside, his weakness. Whereas with Obi-Wan, he kind of did it for the survival of the Jedi. So it's two different means to a similar end,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So I think it's just a yin and yang kind of take. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what you said. Like, we're not going to sit here and crap on Obi-Wan because he pretended not to be a Jedi. He had a job to do. I think if he was on Tatooine in hiding, but Luke was not part of his job duties at that point, maybe he would have done something differently. But that's not the case. He actually had a job to do, and revealing himself would have jeopardized that. So, but I did think it was at least a quote worthy of highlight and speaking about. Like, he just can't fathom not being a Jedi.
Right. I mean, it's absolute insight into the character. Like, this is his mindset, that he's passionate about being a Jedi to that point where he would never be able to go into hiding to that degree.
Yeah, exactly. And so now with Vader on the approach, he senses Vader coming, and likewise Vader senses him. So they do a little bit of trash talk back and forth before the main event, and Infala lives at the top of a mountain, and Vader has to sort of make his way up. So he starts trudging his way up, and there's a series of traps along the way. And as Vader makes his way through these traps with a lot of difficulty, I might add, at some point they have a talk together, and he says, Infala says to Vader, "Did you do it? Did you kill them?" In reference to Order 66. Vader says, "Yes." And, "Are you here to kill me as well?" "Yes." "As I'd hoped." This guy just wants to fight.
I also love that Vader's taking the credit for killing all of the Jedi. It seems like the way it's written, it almost makes it sound he did it single-handedly. I don't know if that's just part of Vader's arrogance. Obviously he's not going to stop and go, well, Order 66, yada, yada, yada. But it's just he's so arrogant.
He's trying to come across as more intimidating and powerful than maybe he is at that point.
Right.
I mean, let's not forget, Vader's already nicked up at this point. He's taken a few hits at the hands of those pirates in issues, somewhere in issue 1 or 2.
Yeah, this is like Vader in total survival mode. Going, and it just feels like issue to issue, it's just a little more damage. How far can he go? Which I love.
Oh, absolutely. And so, now that we know that these two are going to fight, Infala declares his Barash vow over. And I got to wondering, is like, can a Jedi, is that how it works? Is that how the Barash vow works? That a Jedi can declare himself free from the vow once he feels that his penance is over? Or is it more a thing of, well, there's no Jedi left, so there's nobody going to hold me account to this. So yeah, it's over.
Yeah, the way I read it almost seemed like this is something you do until you're called for the next thing. That was kind of the way I saw it as I was reading it. I mean, it very well might have been like, all right, I'm the only Jedi. I might as well just excuse myself of this vow. But it also seemed like this type of training and isolation, it's a preparedness. I mean, he's constantly, completing those puzzles, training with the droid. It seems like he's constantly preparing himself for something. So maybe he saw this Vader appearing as his calling. All right, this is why I was here to do this vow. And then this is the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. So now they've decided that they're going to scrap it out, and Vader tries to apply this chokehold, the Force choke from way down below, which doesn't go so well. It catches, I guess, Infla off guard a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he frees himself from Vader's Force choke, and I guess Vader at that point starts to toss things at him with the Force, which catches Infla unguarded, and then I guess the show's really on.
Right, and now this is leading up to some of my favorite imagery. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah, go for it.
So Infla breaks, I guess, a dam, and the water comes falling down on Vader, and we get almost like a Moses parting of the sea with him, and I just thought that was really interesting imagery, almost, because I feel like we'd never, unless I've missed it, this is, other than the religiosity of the Jedi, just having this like almost reference to our own religions, having this imagery, which I feel like is very unique to the story. I feel like we haven't gotten a direct reference to like Judeo-Christian, any of that. So having almost like a Moses moment, I thought was kind of interesting. I wasn't sure what they were trying to say about Vader just in that image. If it's just something that they were like, all right, this would look cool, or if there was something deeper to it. I don't know. Did you pick up on that at all? Or am I the only one thinking like Moses?
Not initially, but I could see them going down, doing that, evoking that type of thing for sure.
Right. When you look into like literature and whatnot, like just water in it of itself always symbolizes like a rebirth. So I feel like, this whole arc, this whole new Vader series is about him really coming into his own as Vader. So I feel like the imagery of him like going from water and parting it, it's almost like a rebirth. Like this is now the Vader that we know. So kind of in a symbolic gesture, or the new Vader.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty cool observation.
That's just me, the English nerd coming out.
Hey man, that all that education's finally paying off on a podcast that we do for free.
Thank you, Miss Curcio from high school.
Yeah, so that breaking the dam on Vader, that was the first of the traps, and then he's beset by these giant birds of prey, which he also deals with. But we get a look at Vader here, after he's been pecked at and half drowned and shot up. His cape is shredded. His armor's all dented and scuffed, and in a couple places it's got holes in it from being shot. But his leg is also completely down to the bare metal from his procedure, which, was probably only done a few days earlier. So we're getting a look at Vader completely unlike anything we've seen before. This is a Vader who is really vulnerable. And it's I'm not going to say it's jarring. Like it's absolutely, it's really cool.
It's just, it's new. It's something that we're not used to.
Oh, so not used to seeing Vader like this. It's kind of weird.
It's what makes it refreshing. And not that I didn't like the first volume of Vader, but that was still very much the Vader that we knew. This is just like a whole new depth to the character. I feel like they're really nailing the evolution of new Vader.
Yeah, it's almost like they're breaking him down again.
Yeah.
And rebuilding him. So now we have this Vader who's almost in pieces. And then Arix, the droid, comes to Infila's defense, and then that doesn't end well for Arix. He gets crushed by Vader. But in the process, Darth Vader rips off his arm so he can use his weapon. It's not a lightsaber. It's more like a electric staff of some kind that.
It reminds me of the Magna Guards.
Yeah, I would assume it's sort of the same technology.
Right.
So there's a little bit of sparring that Vader and Infilade do with some really neat art. But then you see, Vader's leg is actually like breaks off. So now he's legless once again. He's on his knees. He's completely at Infila's mercy. Like, he really could have saved the galaxy a lot of trouble if he had just finished them off. It seems like nobody wants to finish Darth Vader off. Obi-Wan had the chance, and now Infila's got a chance here. But instead, he force pushes him off the top of a mountain, and he topples. Well, the issue ends with a small silhouette of Vader disappearing down a long, deep canyon. And so, I guess we could just give our final thoughts. And I'm blown away through 3 issues. This is still easily, for me, the best comic book series from Marvel so far. I'm floored by this. I'm still freaking out that we're getting this type of exposure to Vader.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like I said, it's refreshing. It's a new look at a character that's 40 years old. That I think that's quite an accomplishment to give us these new dimensions to like a character that's 4 decades.
Oh yeah, I know you've seen, or you've read it. Have you read issue 4? I know you have it. Have you actually read it?
I read issue 4, yeah.
I'm almost tempted. I'm tempted to let you run with it, but no, don't do it. Don't do it.
I won't do it. I won't do it. It's really, really cool where they take it. Right where it leaves off with Vader in the bottom of the canyon. It's really cool. You're gonna love it.
I mean, we know that somehow Vader's gonna get his act together, and Infila's probably gonna be on the receiving end of Vader getting his act together. That's probably coming very soon.
Yeah, but I feel like, they're definitely coming to the end of this arc, right? It's going to be like 5-6 issues, something like that.
Something like that.
So 4 definitely, it's a leap towards the end of this arc. So, it's definitely going to keep you glued.
Now, all I can do now is just hope that this creative duo of Charles Soule and Giuseppe Camuncoli stick together for a long, long time. Like, they need to at least equal the first volume of Vader of 25 issues, I think.
Right. I mean, I feel like I could see this going 20. I could honestly maybe even if they keep it, as long as it stays fresh, and they stick with the theme of hunting down any remaining Jedi. And I'm sure they can throw in some new curveballs there, but as long as it stays fresh and this level of intensity and depth, they can go beyond the 25.
I really hope so. I love everything about this book. I love the writing. I love the stories they've chosen to tackle. The art has been very strong. I'll say it's very strong. There's been some moments where I was like, oh my God. What were you thinking?
Just a callback. It's no Screaming Citadel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no moments like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of small frames in this issue where I was like, wait, what's going on here? I have a hard time understanding what's happening here. But very small nitpicky things. Overall, I think this is just outstanding work. I can't throw enough laurels at the work these guys are doing so far. I can't wait to get number 4. So we'll definitely talk about that the next time we get together.
Right. Something I noticed, and I don't actually believe this, but I think people that like to speculate based on very minute details, I noticed that Infila has a very similar hairdo to Rey. So I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? I did notice he's got the 2 buns in the back, whereas she has 3. Yeah.
Right, so it's evolution. I don't know. He's the 2nd generation. She's the 3rd. I don't know.
Well, there was that theory that she's Leia's daughter. She has to be, because there's a hairdo that Padme had in the Phantom Menace, where it was like 1 big bun. Then you have Leia with 2 buns, and then you had Rey with 3. So it was obvious, right? These 3 ladies are related to one another. Now, I don't know if any of that was intentional.
I just think the multiple bun look is probably just something that's common in the Star Wars universe. You know what I mean? Like, we have styles and fads that go. I'm sure that universe has it too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. But where does it end, Steve? How many buns is too many? That's what we're talking about in the next episode of Tumbling Saber. That's going to be our main topic for the show. How many buns are too many?
I would like them to challenge that. As many.
Just keep adding everywhere. Them. We'll tell you, Star Wars. We'll tell you when it's too many.
Oh, man.
All right, so are we done?
I think so. Short and sweet.
Yeah, right to the point. Let people get on with their weekends here. So, Steve, where can people find you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter at GIOANGOFET. That's at JoangoFet.
And I am at Tumbling Saber on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Come check us out. Come talk Star Wars with us. We love to talk Star Wars, as you might imagine. If you have any time this weekend, if it's rainy in your area, and even if it's not, if you're sitting by the pool, head on over to StarWarsCommonwealth.com and fire up some of the pods that you haven't heard before on our great network. So Talk Star Wars, Generation X-Wing, The Nerd Room, the Rogue Squadron podcast, Skyhoppers, and San Diego Sabres radio podcast. And that's it. Episode 87 is on its way in a couple days' time. Looking forward to bringing that to you. And until we speak again, wishing you a happy weekend, and we'll talk soon. You've been listening to Journals of the Whilling from the Tumbling Saber team, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Learn more about the network and its members at StarWarsCommonwealth.com.